What's up, everybody? I'm back with my predictions for the NFC South. Now, last year, this was the most talented division as they got three teams into the NFC playoff picture. That's crazy for one division. 3 out of 4, 75% of your teams a division make the playoffs. But this year, I do not see that happening. Now, let's get started with my team who I think will win this division, and that is the Atlanta Falcons. Now, last year, the Atlanta Falcons bounce back okay, pretty much. As most seasons, I feel like they play sluggish and real slow as they battle from a Super Bowl hangover to where they blew that lead against the Patriots and should have won that Super Bowl where they lost in overtime, which is heartbreaking because most teams who usually make the Super Bowl and lose it, the previous year they come back and do not make the playoffs. But for Atlanta to do that was a huge milestone and a big bounce back. As talented as they are, I don't see how they couldn't have made the playoffs. Still got Matt Ryan, who's a tier 2 quarterback in my opinion. Still got I think the number 2 wide receiver behind Antonio Brown and Julio Jones. They also got Mohamed Sanu, and they just drafted the rookie Calvin Ridley out of Alabama. They also got the duo of Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman. What a duo! Offensive line started is a solid offensive line, starting with Jake Matthews, a left tackle, who they just gave a $75 million extension to as well. Defensively on side of the ball, they still got Desmond Trufant. They got Keanu Neal. They got Deion Jones. They're just talented everywhere. They got Robert McClain. They've got some playmakers all over the field. And that team is one of the most talented teams in the league, and I see them winning this division with no problems. I mean, what can I say? It's not really much to say about Atlanta. We've all seen them play. We all know they got the offensive firepower, and I think they're re-energized this year, and they're going to come back and play hard. I mean, they lost a hard-fought game to Philly in Philadelphia last year in the playoffs in the divisional round after they beat the Rams in Los Angeles in a wild card round. Now they'll be back, and I think they'll have a lot to say who makes the Super Bowl in the NFC. But let's just watch and see, and I think Atlanta's going to have a great year. Now, let's go down. Oh, I'm sorry. By the way, I'm predicting Atlanta to finish 12-4 in the regular season. All right, so let's bounce to my number 2 team in this division, and that is the New Orleans Saints. Now, last year the Saints got off to a slow start, and I did not seeing them doing the things that they did. Instead of throwing the ball over the field like we're used to with Drew Brees and Sean Payton, they got more balance. They started running the ball in short passing game. Now, those draft picks they had last year were a hit. They drafted Marcus Williams, a safety, who was a stud last year. Marshawn Lattimore, the corner from Ohio State, who ended up winning Defensive Rookie of the Year, finished with 5 interceptions. They also drafted an offensive lineman out of Wisconsin, the first-round pick, in Ryan Ramczyk. And they also drafted the Offensive Rookie of the Year, Alvin Kamara, out of Tennessee, with a 3rd-round pick. The combination of him and Mark Ingram last year were solid, were studs. As soon as them two started getting it going, there was no stopping the Saints. Now, we also know about Drew Brees, who's one of the best quarterbacks to ever do it. He's going to keep playing at a high level as long as it's him and Sean Payton. There's no stopping the Saints. I know they suffered a heartbreaking loss when Marcus Williams missed and tried to lay Stephon Diggs out on what is now known as the Minneapolis Miracle, as copyrighted by the Minnesota Vikings, which was a heartbreaking loss for the New Orleans Saints. Now, I think the Saints are going to take a step back this year. I think teams are watching film on Kamara and what the Saints can do, and also Mark Ingram is going through is going to start the season off with a 4-game suspension, so I don't know who's going to help Kamara in the backfield, but I still see the Saints finishing at 10-6. Now, they're extremely talented. They also added Patrick Robinson too, from the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles, where he actually started his career with the New Orleans Saints. And they also they traded up a lot to get the defensive end out of University of Texas San Antonio, Marcus Davenport, who they were real high on. So let's see if he can get in there and make a huge impact, because he's real raw, but he's real talented. There's a lot of potential there. And they also got the D lineman Cameron Jordan. Excuse me, apologize for that, guys. This team will have a lot to say about the NFC South, but I'm picking them to finish 10-6. Now, let's get on to my 3rd team, which is actually my favorite team in this division because they got my favorite player, and I've been real high on him since his days at Auburn, and that is the former number 1 pick of 2011, Cam Newton. Now, Cam has been up and down his entire career. He's won an MVP, but my problem with Cam is he's either hit or miss sometimes. It's not precision. He has a career completion percentage of 58.5%. He needs to get that up to 60%. But with the addition of Norv Turner, who is as good as anybody, hopefully he can help Cam out. Cam can put some better numbers up this year. Now, they've tried to get Cam some firepower. They've got Greg Olsen, a reliable tight end. They've also drafted in the past Demir Bird, Devin Funches. This year they drafted DJ Moore, wide receiver out of Maryland. Speedster has got some game to him. Offensive line, I know they lost Andrew Norwell, but they still got some talent there. They've got Christian McCaffrey last year, who had a solid rookie year last year. They'll do good. So we'll see what they do on the offensive side of the ball, but I'm seeing big things for Cam, and I'm hoping he can prove all his doubters wrong, because throughout his career, Cam's been the target, but he's kind of done it to himself a little bit. And I'm a huge fan. I just want to see him do good. That's all I'm asking for. Now, defensive side of the ball, just as good as anybody. So Cam just needs to play solid. They'll probably run a lot more RPOs and things from short passing game and stuff, but he still has a cannon for an arm. He just has to get his accuracy down. Defensively, they still got Luke Kuechly. Come on now, a stud. Thomas Davis is in there in his last year, as he said. He'll be retiring after this season, but he's starting the season off on a 4-game suspension. Now, the rest of the side of the ball, they got Quan Short as well, too. Secondary's solid, too, as well. So, but I see Carolina taking a step back this year, and I'm picking them to finish 8-8 because the Atlanta Falcons are high-powered, and the New Orleans Saints are high-powered as well. So I'm picking Carolina to finish 8-8. Hopefully Cam has a bounce-back year and prove all his doubters though wrong as well. Now let's go down to my fourth team, which I think will probably be one of the top 2 worst teams in the league this year, and that is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now we all know they drafted Jameis Winston with the first-round pick a few years ago, but he's been in a lot of trouble off the field with sexual misconduct, sexual accusations. Now he's starting the season off on a 3-game suspension as he got charged back in 2016 with grabbing a woman Uber driver by the crotch. So he has to face the consequences. So that Jameis needs to mature, man. I think Tampa Bay might want to have to let him go after this year if things don't go the way they want him to go. He hasn't matured. He hasn't learned his lesson, I don't think. From getting in trouble at Florida State, from stealing crab legs, from just stupid things. As a quarterback, they have to be the leader of the team and show and lead the way. But not having your quarterback is not the leader. It's just not a good way for the organization to be thought of. I mean, the front office in general is good. They run a tight ship around there, but Jameis is not being a good example for his teammates. And the problem really wasn't Tampa's offense last year, because they've got some great players on offense. They got Mike Evans, who they just gave a contract extension to recently. They drafted Ronald Jones, a running back out of USC. Now he's going to be improving from Doug Martin, I think, and Ronald Jones is going to be a huge part of that offense. They had O.J. Howard, who came on last year towards the end, tight end from Alabama. They got Deshaun Jackson. They got Cameron Brate. They got Chris Godwin. They've tried to give Jameis some pieces, but he just hasn't been able to be consistent and be a mature person. Now, the huge problem is their defense. They ranked 23rd. They allowed 23 points per game last year. They finished 32nd dead last in passing yards per game. And they also they finished 23rd, giving up over 117 yards per game last year. So they went DB heavy in the draft, drafting M.J. Stewart out of North Carolina, Carlton Davis out of Auburn, and Jordan Whitehead out of Pittsburgh. Now, can they improve defensively? Let's see. They also had a safety last year drafted as well too. And we got to see if Brandon Hargraves can bounce back, because he had a rocky, solid sophomore season. Chris Conley don't have much confidence in. Brent Grimes is getting up there in age, and if their defense doesn't improve, then they're not doing anything. But I think this organization is just going to become a dumpster fire. But they have a lot of talented players, and let me not also forget to mention Quan Alexander and Levante David. They're talented linebackers, and they still got the veteran Gerald McCoy. But all in all, it all starts to the top with Jameis Winston. This franchise is a mess, along with the Raiders, like I've said previously. So those two teams, I think, will be the worst in the league this year. So with that said, those are my predictions. Oh, by the way, I'm picking Tampa to finish 4-9. And I don't know if I remember if I said Carolina, but they're going to finish 8-8 as well. But with that said, I got my predictions for the NFC South, so I'll be back, guys. And don't forget, subscribe. Leave your comments below in the box, and I'll get back at you.